I'm extremely proud of it. It was a real labor of love getting it done. It nearly drove me insane and the family and everybody, but yeah, it was worth it, I think.
Hello, Mike Ross.
Hello, Emma Scott.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. It's all the better for seeing your happy, smiling face.
And a little bit of a jig as well.
Yeah.
And it is lovely to see you as well. We've been discussing boot camp and, putting on weight. When you get to our age, these things happen. But you're looking good. What can I say?
Oh, you can say I'm looking good, and I'll say thank you.
Good. That is the correct response. Getting ready for a big old year. So it's an exciting time for you, Michael. Very exciting, as we've been playing your song, The Preacher, for the past million years, it feels like. It's done very well, The Preacher, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've got a happy smile on my face. I'm really pleased with it, and no thanks to you. I mean, oh no, that's no thanks to you, Emma.
I know. I'm sorry, I failed.
All thanks to you. No, I mean, it's a funny one, The Preacher, because I wrote the riff to The Preacher, and I was thinking about it the other day, and I think it was in 1999. It certainly was no later than the spring of the year 2000, because that's when I moved down here to Brighton from Durham. And I remember playing it in my mate's old guitar shop in Durham. So, but it didn't kind of haunt me for 20 years. I forgot all about it. And it was when I was doing one of them lockdown projects I was doing, which was the recording the album, which became Origin Story, where I was recording old songs that I'd made a long time ago. And I found a bunch of cassettes and bits of mini discs and things, and that was on there, and I'm like, oh my god, that's a great riff. But I probably didn't know what to do with it in 1999 because I was obviously still in school. So no, I wasn't in school. I wish I was. But at that, it just got shunted into a long-term storage, and then when I was writing for this record, and I pulled a few of them old bits and pieces out of the old archive, as it were, and I was like, this sounds great. It sounds really fresh, and I was able to come up with the melody and the lyrics and things which 19-year-old me wouldn't have been able to come up with any of that sort of stuff.
Exactly. But you're only 25 now, Mike. I don't understand the timings.
Time machine.
Getting really confused with the dates and everything.
I'm years old.
But it's good. I mean, we love The Preacher, and you can't moan at a song with hand claps and, have you got any leg slaps in there? Maybe you need.
There are no leg slaps, but there are plenty of woes. Although Jack Hutchinson, who came and hung out and did some BVs for me, we kept getting our woes and our hays mixed up. So we were doing it in here together, and I'd be going, hey, and he'd be going, oh, and it was just like a car crash for a bit. So we had to just do it line by line so we wouldn't stop laughing and messing the take up,
Oh, bless Jack. He's one of our plug-in babies too. And he's also had a new hairdo. There's lots of new hairdos going on, isn't there?
Yeah,
hairdos and hats.
Well, there's a lot of change going on just in general, I think, at the moment. Everybody seems to be trying to move away from their old selves towards their new selves, and it involves, if you had short hair, perhaps you're growing it. If you had long hair, it's getting chopped off. People are getting divorced. People are getting married. They're changing their jobs, So I think change is good.
Change is good. I'm enjoying it. I haven't changed yet, although I did just buy a paddleboard. That's good, isn't it? I just need some water.
Yeah. Aren't you completely landlocked where you live?
Pretty much, yeah.
You should come down, visit, love. We'll go down there's a lagoon here in Hove, and I went paddleboarding on there a few years ago. I could probably give you endless hours of amusement falling off repeatedly trying to teach you how to do it.
Exactly. But anyway, so that's all good. The Preacher, we love The Preacher. And it's done very well on the radio, and a lot of people have been writing nice things about it, so fair play. And we're getting ready for the album then. Third Eye Open.
Well done.
I was like, oh, have I got the name of that?
Yeah, no, you did. You nailed it.
Third Eye Open. I was
totally
like, I almost said Third Eye Blind. What's that band? Third Eye Blind.
I think there was a band called Third Eye Blind.
Third Eye Blind. Yeah, they're still going. Yeah. So yeah, Third Eye Open is the baby. It's the big baby, and it is out at the end of this month, the 28th of April. Happy days. Can you sum it up in a sentence?
Well, it's something like the biggest, fattest, dirtiest, rockinest record I've ever made.
Perfect. We didn't even practice that.
Mm.
I just threw that one out there.
You didn't. I've been practicing it day and night.
Oh, really? You've been saying that to every girl and boy that's been interviewing you.
I tell it to my dog while we're walking up on the downs in the morning.
Can you say it again? I've forgotten it already.
Forgotten it too.
The dirtiest, fattest,
rockinest, maybe.
Rockinest, toe tappingest, thigh slappingest, hand clappingest.
Disc I've ever produced.
Item. So you're excited about Third Eye Open?
I'm so excited about Third Eye Open. I'm so proud of it. I mean, I never thought, actually, if I think back to 2020 when I did that Clovis Limit Part 2 record, I thought that was I didn't think I'd ever be able to make anything better than that. I thought it was a real barnstormer of a record, you know, but this new record, I mean, it's funny because I feel like I can say this about it because sometimes it's like it's not me that made it. You know, the me that's talking to you now is different to the sort of wizened studio gnome that spent months and months down here every day crafting this weird sort of alchemic thing. You know, I listen to it now and I've forgotten how hard it was to do. And I'm like, oh my God, this is really good. You know, I kind of go through these when I make these records because I spend far too much time on them and it costs me in ways that I can't adequately put into words.
So you must be very proud of Third Eye Open then, Mike.
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of it. It was a real labor of love getting it done. It nearly drove me insane and the family and everybody, but it was worth it, I think.
And I understand that you have it coming out on actual items that you can touch. These tangible items, CDs and vinyl, I hear.
I mean, that points out an interesting dilemma, isn't it, in the world? Is it real if you can't hold it? And
exactly.
Then that's one of the concepts that I explore in Third Eye Open. But yes, there are CDs and actual vinyl versions available from my web store, shop.mikerossmusic.co.uk. 150 vinyl and then loads of CDs.
Wow. So you like your physical product and people like it as well, I believe. I think people like vinyl. Well, obviously we know that people like vinyl. That never wasn't really the case a few years ago, was it? It was like, you're putting it out on vinyl? What an idiot. It's going to cost you hundreds of pounds.
Well, it's interesting, that conversation. Yeah, I mean, you know, even just in the few years that I've been back at making this, which is like 7 years now of producing vinyl, if you like, 7th year. And when I ordered it last time, it took about 10 weeks to come. And the price hasn't really gone up. But what's happened over that period of time is that lots more artists are releasing at my level, like the, you know, kind of DIY, straight to fan model kind of thing, but also lots of the big labels, either new music or people that have libraries of old stuff, have started driving a lot of reissues because they see people want to buy them. So it's good. It just means, you know, it's not impossible to get your records. You just have to get your stuff together far enough in advance of the release date to get your order in. Really, it's just kind of, you know, marketing and manufacturing stuff.
You're a good egg with all of that stuff. You do understand a few things. You've been doing it for a while now.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned that, you know, you're a DIY artist, a proud DIY artist. It's a full-time gig though, isn't it, really? I mean, I know you do other things as well, but it is a full-time gig. What are your main challenges, would you say?
Time management, you know, and it's really boring, but you know that I'm actually quite keen on sort of personal development and evolution and, you know, all this kind of stuff. I'm really keen about learning about why I'm completely nuts and what triggers me and all that kind of thing. And unfortunately, of all the research that I've done, and I've done all the research, and basically it comes down to you just have to manage your time better, and that's the boring reality of personal development. Is if if you know when, like this, I'll give you an example. So this record was always going to come out in April of 23, and I decided that in November 21. So I knew what the record was going to be because I'd already done some of the work on it during that 2021, a very little amount, but I had demoed and I had, I knew more or less what the track listing was going to be. I added a couple of songs along the way, but mostly that was where I was going. And I knew I needed to have it in 6 months before the release date so I could get the vinyl done and so that I could be working on with my then agent. It didn't quite pan out the way I was hoping, but we were looking to get work, and then working with you and working with Claire from Central Press, who does my PR. And it's like, if you get your stuff together 18 months in advance, you will not be taken by surprise. Which means you've got all the time in the world. So when I wake up in a blind panic at 3 a.m. thinking I haven't done this and I haven't done that and I haven't done the other, I don't do that because I'm working back from the delivery date to the beginning. And it's really boring, like stuff. It's like, what I want to say is you have to go high into the Himalayas and get some really, really powerful yoga stuff going, not just exercise and massage, but like proper mind expanding chemicals and all that kind of stuff, leotards and running around, like vaulting off mountains and things. But the reality is that if you want to do this kind of thing properly, you have to know when to give yourself the time off and know when to put the hammer down.
That's a really good answer. I like that. I've learned something from that. And I've really learned something from that. It's all about the time management. And I would say as well, from our conversations that we've had, one of the other challenges of a DIY artist is booking the goddamn gigs.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there's a public and a private conversation to be had about that, but the reality is that it's really hard to get to a point where you can be a musician that can write and record and perform and all of those things. That's really hard, but that's not the hard bit. That's the easy bit. That's the bit you have to spend your 10,000 hours doing before you're even got skin in the game, right? So you have to be the artist that can do all of that stuff, or a band. Sometimes it's a band where together they are more than the sum of their parts and they can pull together and do that thing. And that's cool. And that doesn't cost, well, I mean, it costs untellable thousands in lessons and practice hours and rehearsal time and equipment and, days off work or whatever it is that you do. And when you get to that point, and then you have to spend a load of money making the record and mixing the record, and then you have to pay for the artwork to be done, and then you have to pay for the manufacturing to be done, and then you have to pay for the PR, and then you have to pay for the plugin, and you have to pay for all of these different, you have to pay for the photographs, you pay for the magazine adverts and all this other stuff, and there's no guarantee you'll get any work. You can't pay people to come to your gigs because that's where the money's made. So you have to compel people to come to your gigs by spending a load of money on the marketing, probably more money on the marketing in the plugin than probably twice as much money on that as you spent making the flipping record. And even then, there's no guarantee because you don't look like somebody, or you don't wear the same gear as like all them other bands who all wear black clothes and pointy shoes all the time, whatever it might be. So it is a hard bit getting the gigs. It is hard, and that's, I have a lot of sympathy for people, a lot of empathy, even not just sympathy, but empathy for people that have come to the industry in the state that it's in the day that it's in, where everything is pay to. It's pay to record, pay to plug, pay to manage, pay to promote, pay to play. And there's just, it's a vicious cycle, and bands come up and they think, oh, well, it's going to cost us 20 grand to do this. And what are we going to make out of it? Nothing, because the gigs that we get are never going to pay that back. My model's a bit different, and it's based around like gains that come from the work that I'm able to get. And then that influences my decision about how much I'm going to spend on it. And it might sound a bit boring. It's a little bit like that priorities thing. It's not the die hard, live fast, die young, free spirit of rock and roll as we know it, but those days have gone now. You know, in terms you can have that image, but if you're not working like the devil underneath, then you're getting nowhere.
It is hard. It is a hard slog, and there's a lot of money going out and not necessarily that much coming in. But, you know, if you're having fun, though, right? If you're having fun and you're enjoying it, then I guess you could see it as an expensive hobby.
Well, here's the thing, right? You know, like I'm not 19. I'm not in the first flush of naivety and, oh my God, my life's going to be perfect, when I've kind of been through all of that and then decided that there was no way I was ever going to continue to work in such a horrible industry, and then went off for 10 years and then lost my mind and nearly died, and then had to just kind of realize, oh yeah, actually playing music isn't an option. It isn't optional for me. It's a necessity. And if I put it back in the middle of everything that I do, if I put making music in the middle and everything that I do supports that, actually, for me, it's not making music, it's creating, and I call it original works of art because I'm a bit pompous like that. But it's like, if you create original works of art and make that artwork accessible to others, then that can be me with an acoustic guitar busking on the beach, or it can be me selling out a big festival, or it can be me making a record, or being played on the radio, or being played on Spotify or Amazon or whatever it is. And so I've got a really low level of expectation, and I've got a really simple intention that I can go to. You know, I mean, I get disappointed when things don't go my way, but it's easier because I'm not so dependent on the outcome that not getting there doesn't just knacker me completely, you know.
Yeah, expectations, they're a pain, aren't they? You know,
it's only ever an expectation is only ever a resentment under construction.
I like that.
I could tell by the way that your eyes lit up.
I liked what you said. I didn't quite understand it, but that's fine.
Well, as soon as you're reliant on somebody or something to happen in order for you to be okay, that's an expectation, right? You know, I am going to make this record and it is going to get A-list playing on Planet Rock. Well, let's face it, folks, that's probably not going to happen. So if that's your expectation, then you've ruined it before you've even been in the studio, you know. But if I'm going to make a record and it's going to be good enough to be played on Planet Rock, that's a different game. If it doesn't get there, you still did your best, you know. And
it might do as well.
And it might well do, especially, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and them, if Emma is plugging it for you.
Ah, well, thanks, Mike. I do appreciate that. But anyway, so let's move on. Third Eye Open it's the big baby. It comes out at the end of April. You have an accompanying tour in May. So shall we talk about the tour? It's nice. I like it. It's a few dates here all over the country.
Select
very nice.
UK dates or select English dates, actually. If you put UK dates, then you get the angry Scotsman going, "Hey, you're not coming north of the border." You know, so it's not a UK tour, folks. It's an English. It's a Southeast English tour for the most part, although I'm going back up to Durham to do a festival at the beginning of the month. So
that's nice.
Yeah, I'm pleased with it. It was, you know, like I said before, the team changed around the release of this record. We had somebody that stepped away from it, and his part was to book all the gigs. So with him out of the picture, it's a little bit of a different topography for this summer. But you know, I'm still really grateful to be able to get out and do any gigs at all. And anybody that manages to make it out, we're going to have a really good time.
It's going to be great. Shall I read them out for you? Would you like me to do that?
If you like, yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce the Broadstairs one, so let's just do.
It's actually the Rutum.
Rutum. All right. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So May the 5th, Tuesday Night Music Club, Coulsdon.
Coulsdon, yeah.
Coulsdon. I don't even know where that is.
It's like the other side of the M25 from Gatwick Airport. It's about 30 miles from here. South London. It's near Sutton, not too far from Epsom.
Surrey? Would you call it Surrey?
I would call it Surrey.
So well, you can call it that if you wish. Sorry. Okay, so that's the 5th of May. And then the 13th of May, Stockton Blues Festival. That will be nice. That's not Stockton-on-Tees, though, because you just said
Yeah.
Really? Oh, so is that
So that's the northeast one.
that's the Durham one?
It's actually
Yeah.
in County Durham now. They moved it, much to the joy of the people that lived in the sort of western part of Stockton, who think they're posher than the people that live down by the Tees or on the other side. And it used to all be Cleveland, but they carved it up again. So Stockton is now welcomed into being part of County Durham, which is
I
where
hear
I'm
you.
from, if you didn't figure that out.
Well, I'm getting there. I'm understanding what's going on with this gig list.
Mhm.
So the 16th of May, the Rotem,
The
Broadstairs,
Rutum.
Kent.
Yeah.
Bit of Kent. 24th, the Greys in your hometown, Brighton. That's a nice venue, I understand. I seem to recall it.
It's not, they don't do so many gigs nowadays. It used to have quite a lot of live music on in there, and they used to get a lot of classic old Americana artists and stuff. But I really like it. It's got a really good vibe and a good sound. So those are 3 or 4 times I've booked that out for this kind of an event.
Very nice. 25th of May, Pool Hill Brewery in Bournemouth. Very nice indeed. 26th, Riverside Music Club. Now, is it Gillingham or Gillingham?
It's
Gillingham, Kent. Another Kent.
Not too far from you, that one, Emma, if you fancy a look out.
Oh, I don't know. Kent isn't that close to me. Blimey neck. Have you looked at a map lately?
You're as far away from it as I am.
Well, it's miles away.
Then you got to go down the M40, love.
It'd be easy for me to get to Tamworth, which is the one that you're playing on the 27th at the Blind Cat Festival.
Yeah, that's
See what I've done there?
Yeah, it's nice. It's great to be working with professionals of this caliber.
And all the information on Mike's tour can be found on mycrossmusic.co.uk. And I understand with the album coming out at the end of the month, so you've got it all on pre-order. The CD is, so if somebody buys the CD now, you're going to send it out on release date or before release
I will
date?
send it. I mean, usually I send the pre-orders a couple of weeks before.
Yeah, that's good.
Not tell people, so it's a nice surprise for them when they come in from their boring day jobs, and it's dark and it's raining and it's cold, and then you go, "Oh, I've got a new present. I didn't think I was going to get that for a week," because I'm nice like that.
I know. I've ruined it. I've ruined the surprise.
No, you haven't. I mean, I ruined it. You just asked me. I could have lied.
You could have said no. They'll get it on the 28th of April, and that's it.
The only slight potential fly in the ointment is the vinyl delivery, because even though I ordered it way before Christmas, and when you place the order, it goes, due to unprecedented demand across the industry, vinyl orders can be subject to additional delays. Well, it's all approved. I had the test pressings, the covers are all done, it's all signed off. I'm just waiting for them to make them. I was ordered in enough time to get them in time to be out by the 28th of April, but reality doesn't always match my expectations, Emma.
This is the thing about expectations. We can have them, doesn't always work out. But they are very special vinyls. They're a limited run splatter. We love a good splatter, don't we, love?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Don't really know.
Splatter.
I don't know what a splatter. I mean,
well, it's like,
splattering paint, like
like the Bash Street Kids, like when you get your ink blot and you use your catapult to fire it.
I like it. That's very good. What else do you want to tell me about? You want to tell me about Ugly Brain?
Yeah, I'll tell you about Ugly Brain. Ugly Brain is another one of them riffs that I had a long time. Maybe not quite as long as The Preacher, but it was an old one, and I found it on a demo from a gig that we did a long time ago in Brighton at a place called Palmer's Bar. We played it. I must have been really optimistic after that evening, because I didn't have any lyrics for it. I just started playing it, everybody joined in, and I'm just kind of going, Ugly Brain, like Billy Connolly or something.
Like Vic Reeves.
Yeah, I suppose,
the pub singer.
Well, I mean, Big Reeves is a big part of my adolescence.
I love Vic Reeves.
So, but Ugly Brain, and I kind of always knew what it was about, but it's another one of them. And then when I revisit it and found this old demo, I'm like, oh, I remember that story. And I think maybe now, at this point in my life, I'm actually at a level in my storytelling ability to be able to actually capture it. So yeah, Ugly Brain, I guess it's a bit like of a euphemism for, if you have somebody that looks like they might be an all right person, and then you get to know them and you're like, oh my God, your insides are so ugly, right? What is what is your problem? Is this really how you see things, you know? But you're kind of trapped in them because by then you know, something's happened, and then you're in this kind of messed up relationship. So yeah, ugly brain, and then maybe just crying out about that, and asking them, why is it like this for you? You know,
Why have you got an ugly brain?
ugly brain, and
Don't
also
like
features
it.
the highest note I've ever sung on a record, which would be something like a really high A.
A
No,
high A, you say?
yeah, it took me a few goes, I got to tell you, to do some jumping up in the air and sort of land down to squeeze it out of the diaphragm.
Wow. I
Probably
mean,
won't
that,
get that live,
uh,
folk.
wow, I'm looking forward to hearing that high A.
Right in the
That's one of
middle.
my That's one of my favorites from the album. That was one I picked out, wasn't I? Didn't I?
Yeah,
What else
you
did
did.
I? What else are we doing from the Third Eye Open album? What comes after Ugly Brain?
Ugly Brain. The next one after Ugly Brain is actually one of my, I say one of my favorites, but I think they're all good, to be honest. But the track that follows that is Eulogy, which is more like an Alice in Chains record than anything else I've ever done. It's got that kind of trippy,
Hmm.
out of time thing. I really like it. I mean, there are 3 tracks on Third Eye Open which were written when I did the Origin Story album, which was the album of remakes of old material, and because I did that crowdfunded when I didn't have anything to do in lockdown, and I offered a reward which was like a custom songwriting thing, and I sold 3 of them to 3 fans, and all 3 of those songs are actually on Third Eye Open. It wasn't part of the deal that they would make it on a record. It was just that I would write and record and deliver a finished song to these people, and Eulogy was the one by like my top fan, number 1 fan, brilliant, lovely human, a proper old school grassroots supporter music. Is a guy, he lives in Shetland, he's Scottish, and his name is James Smith. And he asked me to write a song about a friend of his who was the guy that got him into rock music. He used to run a record shop in the town where he grew up, and he died a few years ago. And he sent me the words of the eulogy that he read at this guy's funeral as a guide, and he told me some things about him. And he really likes heavier music than I normally play. And so this riff was kind of inspired by that, you know, like a bit of a Tony Iommi thing. And then it just flowed out of me really when I got this kind of riff detailed, and I used parts of the speech that he'd written, and then I made some stuff up, and then I used some stuff from the story that he told me about how and when he met him, and that's Eulogy. So that's about the other song that you and I will probably release maybe at the end of the summer, if you know, if things go the way that I'm hoping, possibly a little later than that, because I'm going to do a solo UK tour in September, and then I'm going to do a band tour in February 24, and that's the tour that I would have liked to have been doing in this spring. So we're getting ready for a run of bigger shows, and so that's gonna slow down the release schedule for a little while. I've been chucking records out left, right, and center, but I'm committed to kind of seeing Third Eye Open out right through the end of 2024, I think. So the last track on the record, Kicks Like a Mule, was originally like my second choice for a single, but based on your preference for based on your preference for Ugly Brain, we booted that one down the line a bit. So Kicks Like a Mule, yeah, and it fits the Third Eye theme is about enlightenment and about seeing things as they are, and Kicks Like a Mule is that, when you realize that despite all your efforts, you can't change things. The only thing you can change is yourself, and that kicks like a mule, like they get hurts.
We love Kicks Like a Mule.
Mm.
We love Ugly Brain. We love The Preacher. We love the whole of the Third Eye Open thing. It's a beautiful thing. Well, I'm glad that you've taken time out of your very busy schedule to chat to us on the Pluggin Baby radio show and here on the YouTube channel as well. Thank you very much for your time, Mr.
It's a
Michael
pleasure. I've
Ross.
really enjoyed it.
It's been fun. Don't know what we've been talking about for the past half hour, but I've enjoyed it. Good luck with Third Eye Open. Really enjoying working with you. It's always a pleasure. Good luck with the live dates as well. And of course, the splatter vinyl and the CDs. You can buy those now. The web address is shop.mikerossmusic.co.uk.
Correct.
And all of the dates and everything you need to know about Mike on the website, mikerossmusic.co.uk. Thank you for being my guest.
Pleasure's all mine.
I hope you have a brilliant rest of year, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Take care. Yeah.